Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here on this Wednesday morning. Got a great show lined up, and we'll get started with our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. But before we get into that, I want to thank y'all for all the comments and all on the fly fishing video we did the last 2 days. It's really appreciate you saying it. And people asking, where were we? Now, basically, we were close to Robbinsville, North Carolina, which is close to Murphy, which is a little bigger town, which is close to Cherokee. So if you know that Cherokee-Gatlinburg area, where Cherokee's south of the mountains, we're west of there. So it's not too far. It's right across the Georgia state line, about an 8 to 9 hour drive. And I appreciate y'all commenting on that, and we enjoyed doing it. Now let's get started with our weather. It's going to be a high today of 85 and low tonight of 64, and water temperature remains right around 79 degrees. Now take a look at our river readings. The Apalachicola Bluntstown, of course, is down to a 0.3. It was dropped from a 0.5 to a 0.3. The Choctawhatchee Caryville, it's moving around now. We're at a 2.2 today, and it looks for the weekend now right around 2 foot. Choctawhatchee River, again, for the second weekend in a row, is going to be in great shape. So we get a chance to go over there and enjoy that river, take advantage of it. Okay, the tides. High tide in Panama City is 5:39 this morning, and lows at 2:14. Then another high tide tonight at 9:36. We'll get close to those neap tides, and I'll get a lot of tidal flow. Okay, we're going to take our first break and come back with our special guest. All right, welcome back and welcome to our guest, Captain Ken Paramore.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're sitting here talking. We have something called the Invasion of the Lionfish.
Invasion of the Lionfish.
See, now we have a brochure on it now. I'm impressed.
Right. We just received these brochures the other day, and the commission is really concerned about the lionfish and their proliferation in the Gulf of Mexico. As you know, probably years ago they were known to be in the Caribbean and I think in South Florida to a degree, but not in the numbers that they are now. And now they're in the Gulf of Mexico, and I guess you can find them pretty readily, and they have no known predators. And obviously they eat fish when they're out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're eating native fish.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of got a campaign going to help eradicate or eliminate, and encourage the divers to take them or kill them. And in some cases, if they want to, they can eat them. They're pretty good eating.
Yeah. I think this shows the seriousness of the problem, really, when it come out with a brochure and trying to get all the information out to all the people. And I was reading some of the facts here, and I just learned something I did not. I was under the impression they're just out there in deep water, like 300 or 400 feet, whatever. But this statement right here, this is all scientifically based now.
Right.
It says they are found in brackish river mouths or bays and estuaries and open oceans up to a depth of 900 feet. So they can go anywhere.
Yeah, and if you think about it, wherever they're at, they have to eat.
Yeah.
And they're going to eat something here that's native.
Yeah.
And it's going to be small fish, probably, that are native.
That's
species.
where it starts really affecting the bay
Right.
system. The estuaries up there, you got the redfish, the trout, and everything, and
Right.
a little flounder. I mean, they can be devastating
Right.
to that. That's something.
You know, in South Florida, they're already conducting lionfish tournaments.
Really.
Encouraging divers to get together and have tournaments, whether it be for size or numbers, whoever can bring in the most.
Yeah.
And I think then they're filleting them afterwards and having fish fries.
Yeah, they say they're good to eat.
They are good to eat. They say it's a white flaky meat, kind of like a hogfish, which
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of up here either. But
Well, we'll keep everybody posted on this and all. We won't get a brochure. You need to read about it. It's fascinating, some of those facts in there on that line.
right, especially all the divers, we need to encourage them if possible during their trips and their diving trips. If they don't harvest one, to bring it back to the boat with them, do what they can to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Speaking of, you're talking about good fish to eat now, groupers.
Grouper.
And it's our
Gag
season
grouper.
wrapping up.
Gag grouper. Midnight the 31st of October, gag grouper closes.
Okay.
Excuse me. So I want to encourage everybody after November 1st or from November 1st on, there'll be no take of gag grouper.
And we have no idea what they're going to do next year yet.
No.
Really.
It'll be after the first of the year, obviously. So with, triggerfish are closed, red snappers closed, Gag grouper will be closed. Red grouper and vermilion or beeliners is probably going to be most of the take over the wintertime, or the legal take anyway. Kingfish probably be gone. So it's going to be a slow couple of months for saltwater, but you know, I guess that's...
This one, everybody takes the boat out of the water and get everything cleaned up.
Everybody shifts gears and either goes to the woods or recreates some other way. But like I say, of course the catch and release fishery is there. It kind of depends on what you feel like. If you encourage or discourage catch and release, personally, I don't care for it, because I don't like stressing the fish and putting a hole in them to vent them. So you know, maybe one or two, and then I've had enough. But there is a catch and release fishery available, but the gags will be closed November 1.
Okay. So everybody, like I say, now is turning their attention to the woods and all, and we got all kind of things. We've already had archery season kick off. I've got all kind of reports. We haven't talked about it yet, but I have a lot of reports on does being taken. Pretty good reports on does, and also one or two bucks. One buck was hit, but they couldn't track him. One of my students, they tracked him and couldn't find him and all. So what kind of reports did y'all get?
I hadn't heard anything.
Okay.
To me, it was kind of slow, other than, like you say, a couple of doe deer here and there. Personally, I wasted my time.
But you got out there and had a good time.
I did spend some time in the woods Saturday morning.
It was beautiful.
I had to go try it anyway, but I just killed some time. But we'll have a whole month of archery. It runs to November 21st. So archery will be in between now and Thanksgiving, actually. And then we'll shift into the 4-day Thanksgiving weekend general gun hunt, the traditional general gun hunt. Then after that's over, the muzzleloader will kick in for a week, and then the general gun will open back up on December the 8th. So it's there's hunting now from now on of some sort.
Something going on in the woods anyway.
Just encourage everybody to keep up with the dates and what's in and what's legal.
Do you have different stamps and anything? But we don't do stamps anymore.
Right. Let's talk about that a minute. There is some confusion because this year archery season and crossbow season run concurrently. They're at the same time. Last year, if I remember right, the crossbow season was a little bit different in date, and we allowed crossbows during archery, but you had to have the permit for each one. This year, because they run the same time frame, if you're hunting archery, you need to have an archery permit.
Okay.
If you're hunting with a crossbow, you need to have a crossbow, but you don't necessarily need both because they run at the same time.
Okay.
So if you're hunting with a crossbow now, you're in your crossbow season as well.
Okay.
If you're hunting with a bow now, you're in archery season as well because they run at the same time.
Okay.
So just have the permit for the equipment that you're using.
That makes sense then.
Until we get into muzzleloader. Then, if you're going to hunt with your bow or your crossbow during muzzleloader, which you can do, you also need to have a muzzleloading permit, even though you may not be hunting with a muzzleloading gun.
Okay. Okay.
That's kind of the difference. If we had a separate crossbow season this year, was different in dates from archery, if you wanted to hunt with a bow during crossbow, you would have to have a crossbow permit. But now they run the same. So for right now, whichever equipment you're using, you need the permit for, whether it be crossbow or archery. When we get into muzzleloader, you'll need a muzzleloader permit if you're going to hunt with a crossbow or a bow.
Okay.
And or a muzzleloading gun. And then we get into general gun, you just need to have a hunting license because it's open to everything.
Okay. All right, let's take this break and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Sitting here with Captain Ken Paramore, the FWC. Always a pleasure to have him. He has so much information and have so many things to go over and all. But we were talking about, as always, I guess, tree stand safety is paramount this time of year. And I know, just like I say, each year, beginning of boating season, we're going to have some serious boating accidents, which we did, and then we're going to probably have some tree problems.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about it a lot. It's kind of like talking about life jackets. It seems like every time we get on here and start a season or something, we talk about that safety and we hammer that point home. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't, because it is so important. Those tree stand falls can paralyze and they can kill. Yeah. And those harnesses will keep you from falling out. And if you're bow hunting particularly, and I know crossbows are really heavy or kind of, you know, they're heavy on one end to me to handle. And if you're in a lock-on tree stand or a climbing tree stand that, you know, your footing is not so great anyway, and your balance, and you've got to stand up to shoot a bow and draw a bow back, and you're in a platform that might be 2 foot wide. It's so easy to lose your balance or to have something, you know, make you, and then you're going to fall out. The harnesses, you know, they strap to the tree and they strap around your shoulders, and even if you fall out, at least it's going to catch you and you're not going to hit the ground.
Yeah, that's true.
And we just can't stress enough, we don't like, you know, working those kind of accidents, and we don't like, you know, having it affect families like boating accidents do with, you know, life jackets. If something can be prevented, you know, it's worth talking about. And every tree stand you buy nowadays comes with harness. Yeah. It might be a cheap, inexpensive type harness, but every tree stand that you buy comes with harnesses, and they do work. You know, they don't have to be fancy. Yeah. All they got to do is keep you from hitting the ground.
That's right. That's right.
So we can't stress the safety of tree stand hunting enough.
And speaking of families, we can't probably stress enough the importance of getting kids outdoors. I know we talk about it a lot, and we talk about Pokio, Panhandle outdoor kids enjoying outdoors, and we get a lot of information on that. But you all see it from your position a lot.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of tough to take them to the woods in the summertime and to get them a good experience in the woods in the summer because of the heat, because of the bugs, the red bugs and mosquitoes. This past summer, the mosquitoes were horrendous.
They were bad.
And you know, they don't enjoy that as much as this time of year. You know, when the acorns are on the ground and the leaves are changing or falling, and it's cool outside, and it's not too hot where they don't get too hot to walk around and show them the things that are going on in the woods in the fall. You know, it's kind of like if you take them fishing in the ocean on a rough day, they're not going to want to go back anymore.
That's right.
And if you take them to the woods in the middle of the summer, when all they do is get heat exhaustion and get bug bitten, they're going to relate that when and say, well, I don't know if I want to go back and do that anymore either. So it's key to do it, you know, when it's comfortable for them, particularly when they're young, because it leaves that imprint that, oh, I'd like to go back and do that.
Yeah, we were able to do that Sunday afternoon, take the kids up there and all, and it's amazing. They'll find a little spider, and it's a fascinating little spider, and then they found a little worm about that big, and they gave them a name, and they make up their own little games and all.
It doesn't take much, you know, just get them out there, and their imagination will run wild.
It really will.
And this is the time of year to get them out. That on the other side of that, you know, it's not 25 degrees out there right now either. Yeah. So now's a good time to take the kids outdoors.
And I always tell them too. I said, don't be picking up logs and look under and all that. You poke it with a stick or something.
Very carefully.
You know, be real careful out there, because snakes and all could be out there. So, but they're like your shadow. Wherever you go, they'll go with you and all. So y'all take some kids out to the woods and all this time of year.
Just be careful of them diamondback rattlesnakes.
That's exactly right.
They're moving this time of year, trying to find a place to winter up.
Exactly. And also you got to be careful. I don't think we really having a problem with them, but the bears are really
bear complaints this time of year are always up. They're foraging now to build up their fat for our winters. You know, they don't have a true hibernation like they do up north, but they do have a semi-hibernation depending on the how cold our winters are. And irregardless, they get ready for it before it comes, because they don't know what it's going to be like. So acorns are falling, they're gorging themselves on acorns and any of the berries and stuff, and you know, they're getting neighborhoods. You know, down in Carabel, the oak trees are everywhere, and they get in neighborhoods around, but they'll get in your garbage, and they just are getting ready to hibernate or semi-hibernate this time of year, and just be aware of them, leave them alone, and we discourage, you know, you can't feed them, and don't put food out, you know, cat food and dog food and household garbage, because they're going to go to what's easiest for them.
Yeah, they have such a distinctive track. You can see them, you know, with the tracks and all where they've been, and they have the same method of going for the food and all. I mean, they're going straight for that food.
And this time of year, they're eating nonstop, getting ready, because they're going to have to be wintered up somewhere, and they build up that fat and that protein. So that's what they're doing.
All right, we're going to take our final break and come back. We'll have some cases here now. Ken brought some cases, different things they've had to just within the past month, different cases they've had here with FWC. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's first get to our fishing times for today. Take a look at those. We're looking at this morning from 8:36 to 10:36. It'll be an excellent time in this evening from 9 to 11. 9 to 11, right before you go to bed. You want to jump out there and catch a fish or something, okay? That's our time for today. Now, don't forget, Divers Den is having a special this weekend. If you just want to get your feet wet and diving and go out to the jetties, call them at the store there. But they have $100. For $100, they supply all the equipment on, give you like a mini lesson. They'll go with you along those rocks, and you see all kinds of things. And they mentioned this the other day, but if you're watching Panhandle Outdoors, they'll do it for $60. So give them a call. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday. And I have a previous commitment. I sure would jump into that if I had opportunity. So you want to take a chance, there's all kind of stuff at the jetty.
Maybe they'll see a lionfish.
You might see a lionfish. just grab it or stick it. No, you can't stick it, can you? Because it's the jetties.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
you can't spearfish on the jetties.
Well, speaking of cases and all, y'all just get hit all kind of cases. I read about them.
It's been amazing lately, and I got to thinking last night, and I just jotted down a few that jumped in my head over the last month and a half, and to just give an idea of what our guys do, daily, weekly, and monthly, that changes. And I'll go through these kind of quick, but I'll explain a couple of them. But just off the top of my head last night, I was thinking our guys put together an alligator poaching case that was up around the Bear Creek area, happened over the summer. And the alligator was probably 10, 11 foot long. And it took them several months of interviewing to put that case together, but they ended up getting arrest warrants for, I think, 3 people taking that alligator. Speaking of alligators, by the way, we're still seeking information. If anybody knows anything about the alligator that was killed in the state park several months ago, that still remains unsolved. We had a few leads, but they didn't work out. We'd still like to find out who killed that alligator in St. Andrews State Park. Just Saturday, one of our officers on Choctahatchee River checked a boat, and that individual was shocking catfish. He had an electroshocking device in the boat. The wires hung over the side, and he was shocking catfish on the Choctahatchee River.
I just get amused by this. What are they thinking?
To turn it around, just a few months ago, a couple weeks ago, you mentioned on your case about a net case around the steam plant canal. And it was 1 o'clock in the morning. 2 of them had a gill net that was over 1,000 feet long, and they had 400 pounds of mullet, net and mullet, at the mouth of the steam plant canal. That was in the middle of the night. I want to remind everybody with this fall mullet run that the bag limit per person is 50. Just Friday or Saturday, back to saltwater, one of our officers in the Mexico Beach Canal stopped a boat, and they had red snapper on board. One of the red snapper was undersized, and of course red snapper season is closed. So we've gone from alligators to shocking fish on the Choctahatchee. Now we're back making a over the bag limit and undersized red snapper case. Just yesterday, at the St. Andrews State Park, an officer was watching the guy fishing on the jetties, and the guy started to leave, and he had his bucket with him. But when he checked him, he had a redfish in the bucket, and he'd cut off the tail and he'd cut off the head of the redfish.
So there's legal size in it.
Maybe he made it to fit. And he also had a mangrove snapper in the bucket, and he'd cut the head and the tail off of it. And the officer said that fish might have been 5 inches long with the head and tail off. So it wouldn't have been a legal fish even if you left it on there. So over the weekend, we had a fatal boating accident in Okaloosa County. I think it was an airman that was missing, and his body was recovered. So it's amazing the different things that go on. Not to mention, we had an opening of archery season, and bait to look for in the management areas, because they do bait on management areas, and work archery season. So it's just nonstop.
Your guys just get what a variety of things they have to do.
And you got to figure we're probably only getting a small percentage of what goes wrong. So but they do find a needle in that haystack every now and again.
That's great, and I just appreciate those guys because what they're doing, they're just stealing from kids and people that are obeying the law.
Well, you got to figure the net case at the mouth of the steam plant canal. That was 400 pounds of mullet that were probably going to a market to be made money off of. You know, and you know that method to take was illegal. Number one. If they had cast netted those mullet and with the proper permits, they could have sold them or used the right size net and the right, you know, make of net. But they're stealing from us. I mean, all that 400 pounds of mullet was in North Bay, or actually West Bay, and they went to a commercial market, and they're out there, you know, slipping around in the middle of the night trying to do it. The oysters are in bad shape. But it's.
What about, did you guys have any dove situations, or dove fields pretty clean?
Dove season was quiet, or at least that first phase. A lot of times we get into some things in the second phase, believe it or not. I guess they think we quit working it maybe.
Oh,
okay. But it was quiet. We had some shoots that they worked, and everybody seemed well behaved. We didn't have any baited field cases in my area, or our area, around here. There was, the birds were okay, but not, you know, there wasn't a lot of birds.
I heard that from everybody. I had all kinds of dove shoots, and people reported on it. Everybody said the same thing. It was okay. They got some shots, but nobody really wiped them out.
I think the dividends were, you know, paid into the ones who really worked hard during the summer and had enough forage and stuff there for them to be there. But as far as the migration or those type situation for the birds being, it was just all right.
Yeah, and I think second phase might be a larger population come through.
And remember, you can hunt them in the morning in the second phase.
That's right. That's right.
And a lot of times, right after daylight, they're flying.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We're going to wrap it up, Ken.
Enjoyed it.
As always. Thank you so much for all the information, and thank your officers too for all the hard work they do. And I know they stay out all
We
kind
give them attaboys.
I know it. We appreciate it, folks. And we want to thank you too for watching Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. You do something good for somebody today. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.